Okay, so today we are going to, I mentioned in my previous video, link is in the description, I have a couple of client websites that I have to redesign. So today I thought that I would get started on that. So the first thing I need to do is, I mentioned in that video as well, that I need to create a mark because I don't have permission from my clients to use their logo. So I'm going to create another quick logo here. So just so we can throw it up on a website and get started on redesigning that page. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is we need to create the logo. So let's go ahead and do that. So if you're new to the channel, I use Affinity Designer, but all the design techniques that I talk about will work in other programs. You don't have to use Affinity, but I'm a big fan. So, and also please subscribe if you haven't done so. I'd certainly appreciate it. Thank you so much. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to grab a letter here, but I'm going to make it wide. And I'm going to go ahead and create. Now, the first thing is that I can't call them what they're normally called, but they do have, again, mountains as their logo, and it's just the way it is. So I'm going to go ahead and create a triangle here, and I want it a little stubbier. I don't want it so tall. So I'm going to go ahead and delete the fill, and I'm going to make the stroke pretty large. I want something like that. Now, in this particular case, I'm not sure that I want the rounded corners, but I will go ahead and leave that for now. So I will take that triangle and I will Control J and I will hold Shift and I will move it over to the left. And I want to do something like that. Go ahead and center it up, and I'm going to Control J again. And this time I'm going to put it here, but I'm going to make it larger, like it's in the forefront. Something along those lines is what I'm thinking. I want to go ahead and fill this with white because I want to visualize what it's going to look like. Okay, and that's what I'm thinking, is something along those lines. Now, what I want to do here is join my bottom mountains. So I'm going to turn that off, and I'm going to create, all right, so I'm going to fill this box with red for now, and I'm going to drop the stroke for now so you can see it. I'm going to take these two triangles and I'm going to add them, okay? And that's going to make them one piece of art, if you will. I'm going to come down here and I'm going to scroll way in by holding Control and scroll wheel with my mouse, and I'm going to bring that right up to, I want to bring it right up to the edge there. So I'm going to go past it, bring it right there. Okay, now I'm not sure I want it that thick, so I can bring this one down. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this underneath, bring my double triangles underneath the red rectangle, highlight both layers, and I'm going to try subtract. And that's not exactly what I wanted. Maybe I want, nope, I don't want that either. I tried divide. Basically what I want to do is I want to create this kind of a look. That's all I really wanted to do right there. And I also want to create one here like that. Let's see what happens if I do an add. So if we grab this and we do an add, yeah, see, that's not what I want either. This is the frustrating part about not having a cut tool in Affinity, because if I had a cut tool like Corel or even Adobe, I could just cut these lines, and I don't know how to do that. So maybe I do one. So what I would have to do, I think, is lose the stroke idea. Okay, Control J, turn that on. And instead of, I'm going to have to fill it with black, and I'm going to have to delete the stroke, and I'm going to have to do a Control J and shrink it. So I'm going to hold Shift and Control, and that'll bring it in. And I don't like to do that because you can see the bottom. Look at the bottom. See how thick it is on the bottom? And my right and left are thin. So now I have to make this, and that throws off my orientation. So that's why I don't like to do this. I think this is what I'm going to have to do. So I want to select this triangle, the white triangle, and I want to select the black triangle. I want to make sure I have them both selected, and then I want to do a subtract. Okay, I will go ahead and put a rectangle behind it so you can see that it's no longer white. This middle triangle has been knocked out. Now, to get my lines to match up, okay, I'm going to do this. I want to do white, and I want to put it above it. and I want to grab this, and I want to do a subtract. That's what I want. And now my line is a little closer to this. I'm just eyeballing it. But the reason I did all of this is to get rid of the stroke. Now I have two shapes here, or I have a shape here, and hopefully this will subtract. So I'm going to duplicate this because I'm going to need a large one. Control J, and I'm going to turn off the original. See, in this, I don't know how close it is. Again, I'm just going to bring it right up to the line there. I'm going to grab my white rectangle and my black triangle, and I'm going to try a subtract again. And that gave me what I wanted. So that was a long way around to get to this part. And what we can do is I can show you what I mean. I will fill this rectangle and I will put it underneath. See, now this is blank. That's what I wanted. And I couldn't get it with the stroke because it was outlining my rectangle when I did a subtract. That's why I did it this way. I had to turn it into two shapes, knock out the middle of this shape. I had to drop the thickness of the bottom to match the side thicknesses. And then I had to knock out with my white rectangle. Now I'm gonna undo that. I'm gonna take it back to here because I want my rectangle to be a little thicker. I think I want it about that thick. And I will grab this shape again, okay, and I will do a subtract again. I will show you that it has been hollowed out. And that's what I wanted. And now I'm going to take this, move it over here. That's the original. I grabbed the wrong layer. Take this, move it over here. And I'm going to do a Control J, and I'm going to flip it and do this, okay, like that. And I'm going to take the original curve. There it is. And I'm going to put it right there. Everything's lining up. Okay. And I'm going to make this, I'm going to hold Shift and Control, and I'm going to make this bigger because I want it in the foreground. And now, first thing I want to do is join these bottom ones into one shape. Okay. Zoom in, and I got to get this dead on. That looks pretty good. Oh, I'm too big. See, you can see right here, I'm too big. I just can't get it to line up here. All right, close enough. So I'm going to grab this rectangle. I'm going to grab this curve, and I'm going to do an add. Okay. And now I'm going to try grabbing both of these shapes, and I want to try a divide. I want to turn this off. So that got me somewhere where I wanted, but now I have to combine this into one shape. I think we can delete both of these curves. And now I think I can do this. I can stretch this that way, and I can stretch this way because I want a gap between my mountains like that. And now I want to get my gaps to look similar, a little heavier on the bottom, something like that. And that will be the mark. And I will group that. I will bring it down smaller, and I want to call it Apex Coatings. Okay, and we'll make it larger. So we will center that up, and this will become a lot smaller. We'll drop this down to a 24, and I want to bring in my tracking, and I want to highlight that. And here's a pro tip. That will reduce the distance between the two words. If you're looking, you can see that it's getting smaller, and you do that by taking your type tool and highlighting that, and then just bringing your tracking down. I have it down to a -143. I'm going to go -150. And their colors were, let's go to Coolers. So yeah, a big fan of Coolers as well. So that is their sky blue. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do a dark green here, and we'll just copy that as their color as well. Okay. And we'll leave that black. And actually what we have done in the past, a flush left. Okay. Not the greatest mark, but it'll work for today. Okay. Now what I want to do is I do want to go back to Coolers, and I'm going to lock this. So I'm going to do an Alt print screen on that. And I'm going to go back over here, and I'm going to do a new document so we can get started on 1024. So we'll go 1280 by 1024. We'll go ahead and create that. And if you're new to the channel, I do like to create assets on my document. So I would do a Control V here and I will crop that down. I like to create an assets folder. We'll bring the logo in and I'm going to group that so I can just size the whole thing to the size. And I did it again. What did I do? I did it again. I do it every time. Scale with object. We got to scale those stroke lines with the object. That's about how big the logo is going to be. And we can just move this off to the side. And we will drop this down and call it logo. Now I want to make this bigger because here's what I'm going to do. Here's some pro tips for you. When I do my web pages, I did do it 1024 by 1280, and I'm going to use this as, I'm going to fill it with black. So I'm going to get rid of the stroke and I'm going to put it behind BG 1080 and I'm going to turn it off for now. I'm going to drop it down to a 30% because I want to be able to see it. Okay. And now I want to go to document setup and I'm going to go ahead and do 1280 and we'll just make it a square, 1280. I don't want it to follow. And I don't want to rescale. And that gives me this. And that is why I have this background. Now I want to lock this background because I can put guides here now and we can turn this off. So I can bring my logo right up to the page end and I can turn off my assets, okay? And then I can grab a guideline here and this is going to be my hero graphic. So my hero graphic is going to be approximately here, okay? And then I have some other assets right here. This is from their actual web page and I'll go ahead and drag that in. And I will do a Control C, and this will give me the 4 columns underneath, and it's probably going to be closer to down here. Now, this may be a little bit confusing if you haven't done this before, but trust me, I am just trying to give you sizes. That's all we're doing here. And if you don't have a web page already built like I do, and I'm changing their web page, then you can go online and you can get sizing that way as well. Okay, and this is general idea of sizing because I would probably grab this color here and create a box and put it underneath the column, do some house cleaning here, call this 4 columns, and I will change that to match that, and the rectangle goes to underneath the hero graphic. I probably bring this in because you don't want to be edge to edge with the hero graphic per se. This is the hero graphic, and we're going to divide this into 2 columns because they have 2 locations. We're going to actually divide it into multiple columns because I want to put some of their services over here in photo chips, and I'll show you that in just a sec. But what you don't want to do is you don't necessarily want to, or I don't want to make my graphic as wide as my hero graphic. I like to indent just a tiny bit. So something like that. So you turn off the guides, and when this gets filled in, you'll see what I'm talking about. Okay, but we're getting the general idea of a web page. Okay, let's turn on our guides, and we want that snapped right there. And that's the general idea of what we're going to be doing here today. So I know that was a long way around to go ahead and get started, but this was from their website. There's an actual website, and I'm going to keep this because this is some of the products that they offer. Okay, so what I want to do now is I want to divide this up into 3 sections. So if you remember my trick, I'm going to do a Control J, I'm going to duplicate it, and now I'm going to change this to a red, and I'm going to bring it up like this so you can see it, okay? And then I'm going to grab its width. Its width is right here, down here in my transform panel, and I'm going to click in there, and I'm going to get rid of the pixels, and I'm going to do the divide symbol, and I'm going to go divide by 3, and that gives me 3 divisions. And here's what I want to do. I want to Control J on my hero again, and I want to come to here, okay? And I'm going to do a Control J. I'm going to bring it here, and I'm going to bring this here, and I'm going to bring this here, okay? Now I have 3 divisions. Take my last hero graphic right here, and I'm going to go there. That's my 3rd division, or this is my left division, my center division, and my right division, okay? And I'm going to grab all 3 of those, and I'm going to stroke them with a white line, See, and there's my 3 columns. What I want to do is I want to collapse this column because I wanted 2/3. And then I'm going to take this and I'm going to do a Control J and I'm going to bring this down to here. That's the center. And then I'm going to take this and I'm going to do a Control J and I'm going to take its height down here in my transform panel and I'm going to do /4. And I'm going to fill that with red, okay? And I'm going to fill the outside with white. Click back to this, Control J. I'm going to do a Control J. And this is going to be my hero graphic. These are going to be masks. And I'm going to go ahead and group these. I'm going to call them hero mask. Okay, let's do some house cleaning. That's the top, so we want it up here. That's the bottom, we want that there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a center line here, center this up, and I'm going to type in our Denver location. I'm going to do a 42 point size, okay, but I'm going to move it down here because I want it there. I'm going to do a Control J, our Salt Lake location. See, now you're starting to get the idea. We'll turn off our guidelines, and now these are all going to be filled in with photos, and I'm going to have some text underneath here as well. So I'm going to go ahead and break this into 2 videos. So this is going to be part 1. And I know it was a little disjointed, but trust me, it's going to fill in part 2. So thanks for stopping by. I appreciate you joining me today. And this was a lot of fun. And you have a great day. And we'll see you next time. Okay. All right. Take care.